I've had a rough week. No, it's not what you think. It's not because the liberal media is criticizing us for being too right-wing. That happens all the time. Something else happened to me for the first time in my life, actually, and I don't really know how to say it other than to just say it, and I can't really believe it, but here it goes. I'll say it. I'm being blackmailed. I'm being extorted. That's what's happening. I've always known the rule that if you're ever being blackmailed, don't pay. I mean, even if you think you can pay a blackmailer, they'll just ask you for more a second time. But you're scared, so you pay. I thought I could make the problem go away, so I actually paid, and then I paid again. But then they threatened again, last night actually, and then again this morning, so I haven't slept. So I called my lawyers this morning, and I've decided I'm done. I'm going to do what I should have done a few weeks ago and just pull the trigger on myself on my own terms. That's the only thing that takes that power away from an extortionist. It's a pretty bad choice, isn't it? So I'm going to take the power away from them, and I'm going to tell you what happened myself. It happened in the UK. Just a bit of background, as you know, we've got this great guy out there on our team, Tommy Robinson, smart, brave, tough. He used to be the head of the English Defence League. A rough group of guys. He even went to prison for a bit on a trumped-up charge just so police could take him off the streets. But Tommy actually quit the EDL, the organization he founded, when it started to become racist. Tommy hates racism. I've gotten to know Tommy and his best friend since childhood, Andre, who just happens to be black, for heaven's sakes. Tommy has an important story to tell about how Islam has changed his country, raped young girls, including his own cousin. He's ringing the alarm, but not just about Islam, also the politically correct police and media and politicians. So we hired Tommy to do little videos for us, and they were good because he's a natural, but boy, were they crummy. I mean, look at that bad lighting, look at that bad webcam. It was pretty bad. And then one day, it was amazing. Look at that. Who did that? What happened? Well, this guy, Kalen Robertson, who just approached Tommy and attached himself to Tommy and made Tommy's videos great. We had no idea who he was, but we were grateful to him, so we offered to pay him a few bucks to work part-time to help Tommy. And then someone else just joined the team, named George, Llewellyn John. He agreed to be the cameraman for Tommy. It was great. Suddenly we went from one guy to a whole team. And then a terrorist struck Westminster Bridge, and Tommy and our two new guys were there, and they taped this raw, viral video. It went super viral, seen millions of times. And the next day, Kalen said to us that he was fired from his full-time job because he appeared in that video with Tommy. Okay, well, I mean, I felt bad for him, and he was being helpful to us, so I immediately hired him full-time. No background check, no interview, just did it right then and there. And George was unemployed too, so we hired him too, full-time, right then and there. George and Kalen are a couple, I soon learned, but I don't care about stuff like that. They did good work, like this beautiful video they did for our Justice for Chelsea campaign. That's great. That's George, lots of talent. Funny little things though, like panicky calls in the middle of the night asking for us to immediately advance them 150 pounds or 300 pounds by PayPal to cover strange expenses, like asking for cash to pay for an Uber. Ubers don't take cash. All right, but no problem. They're just young lads. When I finally met them in London, they showed me their squalid apartment downtown. They said they wanted to move closer to Tommy. I offered to help. Now, they're grown men. I was paying them for full-time work, but maybe they needed some help. So I gave them 1,800 pounds for rent money for that first month when you need both rent and a deposit. But then Kalen took that money and went on a luxury vacation instead of paying the rent. I couldn't believe it. They were literally homeless, so I gave them another 3,500 pounds, this time for rent and for furniture, and I gave it through another friend I trusted so they didn't steal it this time. We bought them a computer. We bought them each cell phones. They were always asking for cash, always in a panic. It was incredible. It was nuts. Who knows where that money actually went? So we got stricter about expenses. But things fell apart. I mean, sometimes they'd have quarrels and wouldn't leave their apartment bedroom to go to work. Tommy missed an important interview because of that. They were doing side projects instead of our work. They were moonlighting for a political candidate that we were covering. It was just too crazy. So I sent an old trusted friend over to the UK to meet with them face to face to say goodbye. Now, these two had only worked for us for about 3 or 4 months. We were really firing them for cause. I mean, you don't get severance when you're fired for cause. We had done them so many favors, advanced them so much cash, but no need to argue. I mean, look, give them a few bucks, let them keep that prepaid rent, move on, no need to be stingy. But then they demanded thousands and thousands of pounds for severance after just a few months. That makes no sense. But my old friend told me was necessary to make some problems go away. I couldn't believe it, but my friend said it was really, really important. All right, so I grumbled my approval, and then when I got a copy of the signed severance deal sent to me from the UK, it was even more than was agreed to. Look at those handwritten additions, and then they phoned us up asking for even more once it was signed. It was nuts. By now they were demanding more than 6 months severance for just a few months' work. Remember, they're a couple, so really more than a year's pay? A year's pay. I'm sorry, that's crazy. No way. So I called up my old friend, and he told me what was really going on. It wasn't for severance. It was to pay these two off, to pay them a shakedown. See, they had told my friend in excruciating detail what they were going to do and how they were going to do it if we didn't shovel them tens of thousands of pounds. They were going to launch their own media company. Okay, no problem. They were going to do it with a splash. No problem. And they were going to say they were going to break away from the rebel and be truly independent. All right, no problem. But this was the key part of the threat. They were going to claim that they left us because we were unethical, not because we fired them. They were going to publicly allege that we were stealing money from our viewers somehow, that we were stealing money from charities somehow, or other things we crowdfund. It was a complete lie. I mean, everyone knows where the money we raise goes. It goes to hire a lawyer for Chelsea, to fight against the police who wouldn't charge her rapists. Here's that lawyer right there. It goes to another lawyer for John Fletcher, the man who had the Don't Support Terror shop at Fletcher's, you know, that shop at Fletcher's, that sign on his shop. Here's that lawyer. Lots of lawyers went to Tommy Robinson's lawyer to keep him out of jail. It also went to positive things too, like this extremely expensive wheelchair we've ordered for Gareth Knox. We haven't quite paid for that yet. And literally right now, Chelsea Wright and her parents and her 3 kids are just back from a vacation. We sent them on to Spain, as you know, just to get them away from all that BS in Sunderland. That's where the money's gone. And our terms of service on our website are clear. Any surplus money is applied to other similar campaigns or related expenses. That's our whole business model. That's not a secret. That's our model. But Kaylin and George threatened to say we were pocketing that money, that we were stealing money. I mean, of course they had no evidence. They have nothing to do with our accounting department, which is in Canada. They don't have any facts. They just made it up. But so what? An accusation by a former employee would be deadly, especially with the liberal media so hungry to smear us these days. It's a madhouse. So my old friend said, Ezra, pay them. But even that wasn't enough. They started calling our accountant and demanding more money, and sooner. And they refused to hand over our property like our old footage. Here's the contract they signed for their huge severance. As you can see, it was really a contract for a shakedown. Not so much for severance. Most of the terms there were a contract to shut them up, to stop them from lying. But they immediately broke the contract, and now they weren't just threatening me or my friend. They were threatening Tommy Robinson too. Kaylin Robertson and George Llewellyn-John threatened to release video footage they claimed to have taken of Tommy Robinson confessing that he punched a guy at Ascot in self-defense. They said they had Tommy Robinson on tape confessing to that. And then if we didn't pay them thousands of pounds, they'd rat out Tommy, whether it was to the police or to a UK tabloid that would just love that video footage. Well, I got on a plane and I flew to London to meet with Tommy and George Llewellyn-John, who was speaking on behalf of himself and his boyfriend, Kaylin. And I'm ashamed to admit it, I signed another contract, one that I had personally written, this one, to buy their silence for Tommy Robinson. I specifically mentioned Tommy Robinson in there. Not that Tommy had done anything wrong. I don't even know if they have the footage they claim they have. But even the allegation coming from these two would be credible enough that every tabloid in the country would say Tommy was a criminal. And if they were threatening to report Tommy for an actual crime, well, I don't know, maybe Tommy would go back to prison. So this was a double extortion. Extorting me by threatening to say I'm pocketing money that's supposed to go to other places, that's a lie. And threatening Tommy with extortion by threatening him with possible jail. Again, I have no idea what kind of footage they stole from us. I don't know what they have. So I'm sorry, I paid it again. I actually paid this. Here's the contract I personally took to the UK to pay them off. I put in some money and Tommy put in some money and we got them to sign the contract. All right, but then today, this morning, we learned that they were proceeding with the extortion anyways. They were going to do all the things they said they wouldn't do if we paid them. Or maybe we'd have to pay them again. I phoned Tommy up. He immediately called George and Kaylin, but they were adamant. They were going to do it. In fact, Tommy learned that the two of them had secretly recorded our conversation when I went there to agree to the payoff. They were recording that. Even while they were blackmailing once, they were setting up the next blackmail with a recording. I know this sounds so insane, but they were doing it. They secretly recorded me trying to talk them out of it, trying to reason them out of it, trying to negotiate them out of it, even threatening to sue them if they extorted me. I brought a copy of a lawsuit from Canada that I'd once filed, and I said, I'll do it to you. They recorded everything we said, everything they said, as they tried to wring more money out of us. You know what? I'm sorry, enough. Sorry, it's enough. It's not just that we can't afford it. We're a small company. We rely on donations. And frankly, you want to talk about ethics, it would be unethical to use our viewers' money that was given to us to build the company to pay off blackmail. So what do? Well, I called up my lawyers in the UK and I asked them. 3 of them got together on the phone. They've given me lots of advice. Some of it is private that I won't share with you, like the right way to report extortion to police. Some of it is public advice, like if you're being blackmailed, tell on yourself first. You say what I've said. They say they have Tommy on tape saying he acted in self-defense. I spoke to Tommy and he said he's fine with me revealing what they have on him. He agrees with me. We have to do this. They have other rough language by Tommy on tape. They have a lot of people secretly. Just a warning, if you're ever near Kaylin and George, they're probably taping you. They taped me threatening them with a civil lawsuit if they extort me. They taped me agreeing to pay them cash. That's the facts. I'm embarrassed, but you know what? There's no more bullets left in their gun. No more money for you, Kaylin Robertson and George Llewellyn-John. No more money. For the Rebel.media, I'm Ezra Levant, and I'm free.